We're going to keep this short and punchy because we've got a bit of ground to cover.
Hmm.
There are a whole bunch of questions that came through in and around Google Ads. So let's get into it. The first question, we'll start at the start, Ollie.
Yeah.
Um, how does Google Ads work? That's
Yeah. So it's almost like a what is Google Ads? Just to start
what are
off.
we
So yeah,
talking about?
Google Ads is just a pay-per-click platform. I'm sure everyone's seen the ads before, but I thought we could just show that example down the bottom just as a
Yep.
refresh. So these are the probably more common Google Ads you see. Now there's a lot of different types, but you can see those sponsored ones there just below yep. So those sponsored ones there, they're Google Ads, they're search ads. Now we'll dive into different types of Google Ads later, but basically, yeah, those are the search ads. They're the more common ones that you're going to be coming across. And how do they work? So basically, it's just a pay to play. So you're bidding on keywords,
Hmm.
and depending on how competitive that keyword is, the location, the audience, everything like that, there'll be different prices per click. Um, so a lot of things come into play there. You've got your ad copy, you've got the landing page that you're pushing people through to, you've got your bidding strategies,
Yep.
and then of course all the other stuff that goes into it, ad rank, quality score, that'll influence how these ads show up, when they show up, and how much it costs you as a business.
So just to like reiterate what you just
Mhm.
said, Ollie, we go to Google, we type in a search phrase. Depending on the search phrase or the intent that Google deemed behind that search phrase, they're going to serve up a whole bunch of elements on screen.
Yep.
One of those elements is the Google Ads listing, and we can see that by this sponsored text here in this instance. So we've searched on SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's because there was Gold Coast in the mix. You can see that it's shown the map packet as well, and we just happen to rank for that. And then we're also, this is basically number one organic position. So
Yep.
Google Ads essentially allow you to pay to play and have your listings appear at the top. If someone clicks on that, then the business who is advertising essentially gets charged, and they get that click through to their landing page. That's how Google Ads works in a very
Mhm.
simplistic summary.
Yeah.
Uh, so what's the difference between Google Ads and SEO? And we sort of touched on that there.
Yeah, you just touched on that then. So you sort of, and again, we're sort of relating this a lot to just search ads because we find that's easier for everyone
Mhm.
listening. But there are a bunch of different types of Google ads, which we'll get into. But that example you just showed with the search ads, so someone searched something, you've got your sponsored stuff up the top, and then below that you've got those organic listings. So the main difference is that Google Ads is going to cost the business for that click. SEO isn't. But on the other side, it's going to take a lot longer for you to build up that organic ranking. We weren't SEO Gold Coast #1 overnight. So if you are looking for those quicker results, then looking at something like Google Ads is probably the avenue for you.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, it gives that immediate
Yeah.
visibility.
And just zooming right out, like this is basically how Google has become a superpower is by having
Mm-hmm.
an amazing product that they've been able to monetize. People can go and set up a campaign and get traffic to their site basically instantly, and it's very measurable. So we're going to cover off on some metrics behind that. And if it's done well and done correctly, it should be a money tree. It's like you spend $1 and Google essentially helps you go and get $5. And
Mm-hmm.
that's then where you can go and scale that. So that's the difference. What is the expected ROI and how long will it take?
This is a common question, one of those ones that we answer with it depends. You would have heard this from the last Ask Us Anything webinar. But at the end of the day, a lot of the things going to be around the industry and the location, the product or service. So that's going to vary on how much you're going to be spending and what return on investment you'll get. But if set up correctly, you should start to see that positive return on investment relatively quickly. And when I say set up correctly, I just mean measured. So if you're not measuring your conversions and how much you're actually making from those leads, it's impossible
Mm.
to calculate a return on investment. And that does require a bit of a co-pilot approach, especially if you're working with an agency, because the agency is not going to know how much that lead actually turned into revenue for the business.
Yeah.
So then that's where we dive into a lot of different calculations to find that out.
Yeah. So just honing in on industry, like that, no two industries are the same. So you can imagine something that is highly competitive, such as compensation law or something like that. I
Mm.
think,
Yeah.
down in Sydney, people are paying anywhere between $50 to $100 a click, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, whereas something more abstract, something more niche, something with lower search volume, it's a lot less. So essentially, and I don't know whether we sort of did good enough job in terms of talking about how this pricing metric is defined. Is
Mm.
It's really an auction system, and it's based on supply and demand. It's like how much competition is there in the marketplace for these search phrases, and then
Mm.
that really defines, well, what are you paying for that specific click. Actually, you know what? So just going back to this one, we have got an example of that. Sorry,
Mm.
I'm jumping forward, and we're just using our own specific reporting. So you see that we've been working really hard from an SEO perspective for the last 10 years. We also run Google Ads, and you can see for the reporting period of September just gone by, there was a rough spend of almost $6,000. So that's what we sent to the Google gods. And off the back of the leads and inquiries that were generated, we attributed around 20K of revenue to that.
Mm.
So for every basically dollar we spent, there was roughly almost $4 that came back. And we were
And
paying
that's a good
about,
example of, yeah, that competitive industry, because we're nearly $10 a click there. And that's probably on the conservative side. A lot of our clicks are a lot more than that. And our cost per conversion is so high, sitting at $157. But at the end of the day, it's what does that lead end up giving you in return? So often if you do see a way higher and more competitive industry with a way higher cost per click, I would say you can sort of make a correlation that usually the conversion from that is going to be a higher ticket conversion. So like your comp law, those sort of clients.
Mhm.
It's not the same as if you're targeting just like a small clothing brand that's selling like $50 t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, those cost per clicks are going to be lower, but then in turn, the actual conversion from that's going to be lower as well.
If we then dig into, well, how do we measure ROI, and how do we sort of explain this to clients?
Mm.
How would you answer that, Ollie?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways, and it's different compared to what business you are. Like an e-commerce business, it's going to be relatively easy because you track your sales through the website. So at the end of the day, it's going to be very clear how much you're getting from Google Ads, whether it's lead gen businesses like 5x5 and like a bunch of people watching this webinar. It's a bit tougher to measure that. So on a basic level, you just want to track each lead you're getting from Google Ads and then just use a standard return on investment calculator, which you can see there, which will calculate basically money spent and then money returned. But it's not always as easy as that at the end of the day, because you've got so many leads coming through your website from different
Yeah.
sources, whether that's Google Ads or organic or direct or even social media. So you don't always know exactly what is from where. So something we do at 5x5 is we track exactly where the leads are coming from. Yeah, here's an example here. So the lead tracker, it'll feed in automatically the lead that we get, and then we go through and list whether that's from organic, whether that's from paid, and then if you scroll across as well, just to so then you've got that part there, which you've got to fill out manually, that sales forecast and then actual sales value. From there, you can actually measure the return on investment a lot more accurately.
Yeah. So I guess us as digital marketers, we can provide this data to a client in terms of we can attribute a source, whether it came from paid, organic, direct, or referral. Obviously, the date's the date. We get all the clients' details because they're obviously filling out forms on landing pages and stuff like that. And then really, like, this is how these columns here, we can deliver a lead, but then we're not in our client's business on a day-to-day perspective. So it's really hard for us to get visibility around, was that a good lead, or did that result in a sale, and what was the value of that sale, and all that sort of stuff. So this is then where we can have more of a collaborative approach on a month-to-month basis to say, here's the leads that came through. How did these actually turn into dollars in the bank account for you, client? And then we're able to see, well, is this an issue with leads, or is it a sales or a conversion or even just a follow-up?
Mm.
Are you even returning the phone calls or whatever? So
Mhm.
it just makes it super clear. One of the cool things that Google does for non-for-profits is provide grants. Do you want to just tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about this, Ollie?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's just a standard grant that the non-for-profits will get. You've got to apply for it and everything. It's just that 10 grand USD per month, which is quite a large sum for some organizations. But in turn, I believe that you're not going to be yeah, it's almost two different auctions. If you're a regular paid ad, you're bidding against regular paid ads, and then that sort of ad grant auctions beneath it. But you can, and I've seen this in the past, what happens is if you optimize it well enough and you've got a good enough landing page, you can actually come up above
Yeah.
those paid ads. So although there is a bit of that sort of relationship there between the two different bidding, you can actually get above it if it's done correctly.
Yeah. This was a question that came through, I think, from a non-profit in our list, and yeah. So if you fall in that category, it's worth a
Mm.
crack because it's
Yeah, for sure.
it's exposure and traffic to your website.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Yeah, always depends. So how long is
Depends.
a piece of string?
It sounds very
It's
nondescript and vague,
yeah.
Ollie.
It's
Huh?
it's it's just so many different things that come into play. And I feel like we've already touched on this a little bit. We
Yeah.
we use that example of like compensation lawyers or a small clothing brand that's just selling
Yeah.
$20, $30 t-shirts. These clicks are going to be completely different. So yeah, so some comp lawyers and John, you mentioned it before, like upwards of $50, and down in Sydney, potentially even upwards of, close to that $100 mark.
Yeah.
Whereas other industries are spending less than $1 for a click. So yeah, it really does depend. But I think as a business owner, your industry, you know how much a conversion is to you, like a paying customer.
Yeah.
And you can see the results. So if you type your keyword in your service, whatever your main service is, just have a look at the people that are on that search engine results page. And then just take into account the location you're in, everything like that. You could have a bit of an idea, I believe. But yeah, it really does vary.
Like the other thing that you actually define in your account is like your daily ad spend. So
Mm.
that's how you control the budget. But the issue with that is once the budget's exceeded, your ad is no longer displayed. So
Yeah.
that's sort of this fine line where, Google will invariably always try and get you to spend more money because they'll say, hey, there's heaps more opportunities here. You should really increase that budget and capitalize on those opportunities. So that's, I guess, the value that someone like us can add in the equation because we're working hard to get that cost per click as low as possible so that you're getting that bang for buck.
Mm-hmm.
And just the general sort of complexity, and we'll get into that in one of the subsequent questions. They'll give you a whole bunch of just
Reasons
suggestions
to spend.
and ways to spend that money very, very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely something you got to be careful with that we'll touch on.
yeah,
But this question here, just around the different types of ads. So as I mentioned before, the example we showed before was those search ads. That's probably the more common ones that people see and that you'll use, especially as a
yeah,
lead gen business. But here's an example of some different types of ads. So it's not showing a lot there, but you can still see that search ad at the top. And then on the right there, you've got a couple of shopping ads.
yeah.
So they're two different types of ads just there. If you then go teeth whitening strips in the search results there, I should bring up even more.
What actually type in strips or?
Yeah, just after it might bring up more just shopping.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
now you
that's a
can
better
see more
example.
of just
Yeah,
shopping ads. So then you can see at the moment it's just displaying the shopping ads there. I'm not sure if it will display search ads for that term. Yeah, so you can see
has
there
it?
it's not. Yeah, it's not. So it's just dependent on the search. There's different things will pop up. As an e-com brand, you're going to be wanting to be on the shopping ads as well as some search ads as well. But
That's
yeah,
new. This is the in-store
stores
nearby. That's
nearby.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Big stores will get the chance to be in there.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got other things like your display ads. And there's a lot of different display ads. A common one that people see are probably the retargeting ads when you go on a
Hmm.
website and then you leave it and it follows you around the internet. I think we touch on that later as well.
Yeah.
But then everything from, Performance Max video ads. So YouTube ads are actually done within the Google Ads platform, demand gen. There's a lot of other ones there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So if you've got a physical product, ads works exceedingly well. You get asked this question a lot, Ollie. Why don't
Yes.
I see
Yeah.
my ad? Where is my ad? I'm paying
This
all
is
this
a
money to Google and I never see my ad.
yeah, this is a common one from clients that run ads with us. I find is why isn't our ad showing up on Google? And the reason for that, there's a few different things. But obviously, your bidding and your quality score go into it, so that's where the person managing the ads would be at fault there. But you've also got things like your scheduling, your location, and audience. So, for example, if I'm searching up web design Gold Coast all the time because I'm trying to find out where 5x5 is ranking at that moment. If I'm always searching that and never clicking on the ads, Google's going to take that into account and potentially not show me those ads as much. Or if I'm always on the 5x5 website, same thing. I'm always on the 5x5 website. It's not going to start to target me with these ads because it knows I'm not going to convert and I'm not a paying customer. So as a business owner, if you're trying to search for your own ads, often they won't show up. But yeah, that there's some of the reasons why.
Yep. Yep. Cool. And you even said like scheduling in there. So you can
Yeah,
schedule when your
scheduling.
ads are displayed. Like if you
Yeah.
say, typically we're only going to convert people between business hours, like you probably have your ads displayed between, 8 and 5, 8 and 6 or something like that. Um, yeah. And it's just like Google knows so much about you based on your search history. That the algorithm's always going to be working hard to get the ad in front of the most relevant person.
Yeah.
And sometimes the business owner is not the most relevant person. We spoke about this before, retargeting.
Mm.
Do you want to talk about this, mate, in terms of like what, in a simplistic fashion, what is retargeting?
Yeah, so I touched on it before, but at very basic level, it's those annoying little ads that follow you around the internet after you've visited a site. Basically, there's a small piece of code that tracks your activity, and if you visit a website and then you browse other websites later that allow for those display ads to be shown, they will often show up to try to bring you back to the website. So it's really good to just encourage people to then convert, especially if you have longer conversion periods. So someone's not sort of and this is dependent on the product or the service, but someone doesn't usually just see the service and purchase it straight
Yeah.
away, like an emergency service. Then if they are taking a little bit longer, those retargeting ads can really be good to just bring that brand front of mind.
And super cost effective. Like,
Yeah,
so
super cheap.
the ad displays. So, for example, someone comes through to the 5x5 site, they get distracted, the phone rings, they close the browser tab. We've got a little cookie that's sitting on their system. They then go, subsequent days, they go to their local, news website or whatever, and our ads are displayed there in the sidebar or a banner or whatever, right? For our ad to be displayed, we pay nothing. So that's what we call an impression. And it's sort of akin to like a billboard on the side of the road where you're getting all this sort of subconscious, subliminal branding all the time. It's not until someone physically clicks on that banner and comes back through to a website that we as a business physically pay any money. So I remember we were racking up something like 20, 30,000 impressions a month
Yeah.
for like literally 20, $30. Like it was just cheap as chips. So just a great another thing to layer in there and have working away to keep you and your business front of mind. How do we measure the success of our Google Ads campaign?
Yeah, so we could even open that example, but basically, what we do at 5x5 and what you should do if you are running Google Ads or thinking about it is you want to measure everything you need to actually measure the success of the campaign. So,
Yeah.
what are the metrics you need to see? You need to see how many clicks you're getting, how much you're spending, what the return on the investment is there, how much you're spending on a conversion, and does that make sense for your business? And then everything else as well, just breaking it down at an ad group level. So this is obviously overall stats from the whole account, but then
Correct.
potentially there's an ad group in there we're dragging these stats down a little bit. So you
Yep.
need to be able to break it down at an ad group level, campaign level, and then an ad level as well to see exactly what's contributing to these stats.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see our clicks were down pretty significantly, but we're still able to, well, conversion was down a bit, but then this
Types
isn't
of
taking,
conversions.
yeah, this
So
isn't correct. Spot on. Yeah. Yeah. So
So us having more of those lead forms, which is
yeah,
obviously a better conversion for us compared to like a phone call, they're more
Correct.
likely to convert if we can get that lead
Correct.
form. So although the conversions are overall down, the types of conversions are actually up. So that's why I'm breaking it down in a report where you can see all this data, and then you can actually make a conclusion on whether this is positive or not positive.
Spot on. Yeah, because like for us, there's really two conversion methods. We get a briefing form through our website that potential clients fill out, or they'll pick up the phone. And I like just being on the front line from a sales perspective, phone calls typically tend to be a bit hit and miss. That people just sort of shopping around. Whereas we know if we get a briefing form, they're actually spending 5-10 minutes filling out that briefing form. So it's a better quality lead for us. So yeah, can't manage what you're not measuring. And then, so a big part of that is just the conversion tracking as well, making sure you're actually tracking conversions. So when a form's completed or a phone number's clicked or whatever. What is a smart campaign, Oliver?
Yeah, so there's a few different questions there. So bidding strategy, what's the best one? Completely depends on where your account is, how long you've been running the ads for. An early account, you're probably wanting to maximize as many clicks as you can get. The Google platform doesn't have much data on your target audience yet or who's converting, so you wouldn't be maximizing for conversions yet. But that's something that would happen later on. And then in there, it's manual versus automated. So there's nothing wrong with automated bidding strategies. It's just choosing when you actually apply them. Whether it's with the smart campaigns, yeah, there is something wrong with those. Often I find that they just spend money. It's probably not the best use of your budget. Smart campaigns are basically Google's hands-off campaign. So you just give them the control and they will do what they think is best. It's probably for more they market it as for someone that just doesn't have much experience, when in reality,
Correct.
it's just, yeah, they're just going to spend your money.
Well, and Graham put in just a really interesting comment in the chat, just saying he followed a Google Reps advice once to set up the ads, and
Oh,
like it
no.
cost him $256. Ouch.
Never listening. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and that's another common thing as well, is that you'll get calls from Google Reps if you're running any ads, and they're usually just like outsourced Google Reps. They don't
call
work
centers,
directly
yeah.
through Google a lot of the time, and they will get you to do things like, yeah, start smart bidding and turn on certain recommendations, which can, yeah, end up costing a lot of money.
Far out, and they are persistent as well. Like,
Yeah.
and then like literally every month is a new email. Hi, I'm your new Google Ads rep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're never ending. I can recognize the phone numbers now on my phone, so I know exactly which ones are. It's not not good.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We're not going to say anything bad, anything more bad about
Yeah,
Google.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We love
We
them.
love you, Google. Please don't penalize us. Should I auto apply recommendations?
Yeah, it's just an
That's what we just
extension of
spoke
that
about.
last one. Yeah, just an extension of that last slide. The
Yep.
exact same thing. So yeah, it might save time, but at the end of the day, it's probably not the best thing. And there might be a certain few types of recommendations you can go in and select, knowing it's not going to change much. But there is an option to just click auto apply all. And that's often what Google Reps will tell you to do, or maybe it's
Yeah.
just what you think is best. And it's, yeah, usually not.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're better off just spending that wasted budget on an agency that knows what they're doing and can actually get the best bang for buck.
This was, yeah, a question that came through around exact match.
Yeah, I'm not sure I was answer this one correctly, but the way I took it was, how can you do an exact match? So how can you run exact match now? Because I think the question says, as it is written, not deviating. So back in the
Yeah.
day, exact match was, it would match the specific words. Anything outside those words were searched, your ad wouldn't come up. But nowadays, I think it's the intent of the search. So even if something's still closely related, or Google thinks they meant to search a different way, they will still show your ads. So it's just a change that Google's had with its keyword match types. That's the way I took the question. And to answer that, it's just the way it works now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think you nailed it, Ollie. Awesome,
yeah, I hope
mate.
so.
So we've answered a lot of questions. If anyone is interested in getting help with their Google Ads, so maybe you've got an existing account, you've tried setting it up, it was all too complex and tricky, or maybe you're running it and you feel like you just burn through budget and you don't really get any outcomes, or you looking at getting in and setting up a new account, we can assist with any of those scenarios. So we're going to send this recording via email. If you need assistance, just hit reply, and we're more than happy to jump in, order an account, or just run you through maybe what opportunities exist in your chosen market or field.
Got one question that just came through. So Performance Max, is that just another fancy name for smart bidding? No, so Performance Max, it is giving up a bit of control there. But if the account has been running for a while, you have some good conversion data and you have good assets to put into Performance Max, it can work. So I would test that, would be my suggestion there. I would test Performance Max. Yeah, they can work well. And it is separate to smart bidding, but you're right in correlating the two because it is giving up a lot of that control. You're just giving Google the assets and letting it run a campaign. Sweet.
Thank you, Oliver. You are a wonderful human being. Appreciate you, mate. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll do another one of these. So watch this space. We'd love to see you again on the next one. Have an amazing day ahead.